everyone. My name is Angelique Jackson, Senior Entertainment Writer at Variety, and thank you so much for joining us for this special look behind the scenes of Dune. And now joining me to discuss this epic film are Stellan Skarsgård, Zendaya, Rebecca Ferguson, and writer, director, and producer Denis Villeneuve. Hello, everybody.
Hello there.
Thank you, Angelique. Thank you for hosting me.
Well,
Thank
of
you.
course. I mean, this is a movie that I feel like I know you've talked about tons of times, but because it is so epic and it is so layered, there really is so much to discuss. And Denis, I know this is one that you've been, thinking about since childhood and kind of, as you read the book and then imagined this universe, this world, what is something that people have picked up from this movie that you maybe didn't even notice yourself as you were making it? Something that has surprised you about the reception of it, if you will.
Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question because I saw the movie a billion times, so I will not say that nothing can surprise me about it anymore. But no, I will say it's not as of a surprise, but I was like relieved and deeply happy how it was warmly received by the audience, how people were moved by the movie. That is a big. It was a big thing for me that people got an emotional experience out of it, and it was not a surprise because that was our goal, but it was just like a relief that the emotions that were the exploration of the emotions we were trying to do with the movie, it feels like it worked. Yeah, fortunately, after all this work.
After that very first time that you watched it, as you were, actually, maybe the first finished cut, what was the moment that made you emotional to see on the screen?
When you make a movie, there's different states. I mean, there's different moments where you have as a director and a writer. I mean, when you write a scene, there's a moment where you are going through the emotions as you're writing it, as you are discovering the scene with the words. Then you will have an emotion again when you are directing actors and you are on set, and I'm behind the camera, and suddenly I see something that is happening, and that deeply moves me. And the third time I will have another emotion is in the editing room when finally we feel the right shape of the scene, and suddenly there's a strong wave, emotional wave that comes out of the scene. But these three moments happen, and after that it's just fate, because I will have to rely on other people's reaction because I cannot experience the emotion over and over and over again. To go through the emotions of Dune, I will have to wait maybe 5 or 10 years to be able to see it without filters, that's normal, that's the process.
I mean, I can't even watch an interview like this back without those filters. So I understand on a much smaller level. For all of you, for Rebecca, for Stellan, and for Zendaya, what made Dune a different experience than anything you've worked on before? Because you've all made big, epic movies, but also, these very intimate character studies as well. But what was it that made this one different? Stellan, I'm going to start with you.
Well, my physical appearance made it very different from everything else I've done. But also working with Denis, I always wanted to work with him because I love his films so much, and there's so much humanity and tenderness in everything he does. And it was such a pleasure to be on the set with a director he was never worried, he was never screaming, everything felt so easy and relaxed and friendly. It was a very homey feeling to be on the set.
Well, we'll dive into your physical appearance some more, but Zendaya, I'm going to go over to you with that question as well.
Oh man, I mean, just to kind of echo what you just said, but Denny creates such a beautiful environment on set. I unfortunately this time around didn't get as much time as I wish I could have had on this set, which is why I'm very excited to go back and do it again and spend more time with these people and learn from them. But yeah, I mean, it was a place to be creative and feel safe, and feel guided, but also feel like you have the space to try things as well within that. And yeah, I mean, it's just it's an absolute dream come true. I mean, I've always wanted to be in a sci-fi movie in that way. And I think the beautiful kind of connection point of what we're talking about is just massive movies, but also something that still deals with character and deals with I think raw human emotions at the end of the day. This is Denis' specialty. So it was just like, I don't know, it's just the coolest experience for me. I feel incredibly lucky, you know, every time I get to be on these panels with these people, you know, it's very, very special. So there's nothing, it's just a dream, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing else, like, it's a no-brainer.
You're very, both of you, very generous, because I know that now you're going to go to Rebecca. It's going to be a total different answer. But I would say I didn't know, Zendaya, that you wanted to, it was one of your dreams to be in a sci-fi movie. That's good to know.
Yeah, definitely.
You played it cool. You weren't too eager when you hopped on the set. I like that. Well, Rebecca, as Denis said, did you have the same experience, as was yours slightly different?
It was horrible. Poor Rebecca, she's always embarrassed because it was painful. It was like we didn't get along at all. So
you know, I mean, Zendaya's looking forward to number 2. No. What can I say to fill the gap? What did I feel different? I don't like comparing them, and we don't compare because I've been on massive sets. And I wouldn't want to minuscule other things I've done, but this, for me, I think there was something so unique about the story. I fell in love with the story. I absolutely engulfed the characters, the cast that I got to work with in the environment. That was very unique. It was like Zendaya said, it was the intimate characters, but in the grandiosity of the settings. And actually, to round it off with what Stellan said, it's Denis is a man who kind of cradles us. I mean, it's such a safe environment. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
it's very good for my ego today. Thank you for this therapeutic moment that is sponsored by Warner Brother. Okay.
That's what I'm here for.
No, thank you.
These panels are really like group therapy sessions.
Exactly.
Well, Rebecca, let's talk about that. Let's talk about Lady Jessica to start, because, you know, I'm always really struck by the fact that a lot of her decisions, including ones that we don't see that happened before this movie, really lead to a lot of the plot of this story. You know, what was it about Lady Jessica and the way that Denis interpreted her that was particularly intriguing to you? What was it that you really dug into with her arc?
I think something that stands out, as you said, we've done many interviews, and it's to make it interesting for ourselves. The thing that keeps on coming back to me when it comes to Jessica is the balance of being a teacher, of being the mother, of being someone who creates a route and a road, but then has to at some point also know when to give that power over to someone else. I loved finding that balance within this character of knowing when to take, when to give, when to receive, when to accept. I mean, that's an amazing, powerful character to get to play, right? Yeah. That's one of many answers.
No, that's a fabulous answer.
No, beautiful.
Denis, do you remember the scene, in the writing process where you really keyed into what you were trying to get across with Lady Jessica?
I think that right at the beginning, when in the first act, when we meet her, not meet her, but when we see her waking her son, Paul, and bringing him in front of the Reverend Mother, she knows that it's going to be tested, and that test will be could be lethal, it could be dangerous, and to see that she's like really caught between two tectonic plates, which are her education, her Bene Gesserit education, her allegiance to the Bene Gesserit school and program and goals, and at the same time she's a mother, she's a human being, she's a mother, she has and that inner conflict of her trying to control her emotions with her education, but at the same time having this urge, this primal and those strong emotions, human's emotion coming out of it, right? That she's trying to control with the litany of fear. For me, that's at the heart of Dune, to the triumph of human spirit and trying to control the control of human's emotion through the intellect. And there's something there that I thought Rebecca did like a maestro. I mean, she was really, I was able to go where I wanted the character to go, which is that to find this zone of uber vulnerability and her trying to control her instinct. And it's like, for me, that's at the heart of the G. Jessica character that has to deal with all those layers, her own agenda, someone else's agenda, and her own, and being a mother in the same time. There's like, it's a very beautiful, complex character that is dealing with a lot of pressure coming from everywhere. Yeah.
Rebecca, on your end of the camera, what do you remember about that roller coaster of a sequence? Because there is so much that Lady Jessica is going through there, and we get a chance to see a lot of that in your portrayal.
I think, I mean, I don't want to ruin movie magic, but I think when we shoot, you know, it's episodical emotions. So I think for me, seeing the arc in a whole is one thing, but what's so lovely is you get to actually have a day of emotion. You know, you have the litany of fear day, and you get to immerse yourself into it. But I mean, do you know what? It comes down to what Stellan said. When you're safe with a director, I feel happy to try anything. There's nothing that I'm ashamed of, embarrassed of, scared of, which means I can give all of myself and know that I won't be judged doing it. And that's all I need to give, you know? Once again, it's back to Denis.
That's why I'm smiling right now.
Stellan, I'm going to go to you for a minute. What you were talking about, that idea of this physical transformation, you and Denis really swung for the fences with the Baron, but also found a way to make him terrifying, but not a caricature. Where did you first begin your conversations about how you were going to approach this character?
Well, I think the most important thing was to make him human as possible. And I knew that I would have like 40 kilos of prosthetics on. So you have to make sure that those prosthetics doesn't prevent you from creating a human, that you can move in it, that you can find a sort of sensual way of moving in this enormous body. And and that was, of course, a physical challenge. Actually, I'm really bad at going to the gym. I've never done it. But before this show, I actually went to a personal trainer, and I told him, I don't want to look like my sons. I don't. All I want is to be able to move. And he worked with me. So I actually managed for at least 8 days to carry that weight, and that was a big challenge. But it was also interesting because I knew it's on the paper. It's nothing, that character. He's got a few lines, very few lines.
And you killed most of them. You wanted to, you cut most of these lines very often.
Yeah, I know. I didn't think they were necessary. The more he talks, the weaker he becomes.
I agree.
So remember that for the second part, because it's you have to give him a strong present so that he is remembered for those small scenes throughout the movie, and is a looming threat throughout it. And that was a sort of more of a purification process of the character than adding anything to it.
Yeah, he started in the sauna. He started in the steam bath, so it was really like the purification. But it's true that Stellan and I spontaneously, we both agreed that the character should be as internal as possible. Very thoughtful and just a character that is there, a huge being that is there and thinking, and you feel his brain working, but you don't hear him, because in the book it's very talkative, and we both agree that it would be the wrong way to go. Definitely.
Villains do often reveal too much of their plans, and that's how they end up getting caught. So it's a genius. Stellan, what did you make of, obviously you had to, as you said, go to the gym to be able to hold that 40 kilos of weight, but then to see the way that it looked on screen, what did you make of, the way that the figure was so imposing? What was your takeaway from how the Baron looked.
Well, I was very happy. I mean, I don't like to see myself on film at all. It's always painful because you always think I could have done something else. But with a sort of restrained exposure of him, I loved. And there was a few scenes that, unfortunately, one scene with Rebecca that was cut out, but it was good.
Zendaya with Chani, you know, for the majority of the film, she's this kind of dream-like specter, this beautiful young Fremen woman who's, you know, filling the audience in on the whole stakes of this world, but we don't get a chance to really know who she is or really meet her. What conversations did you and Denis have about what to put out there and what to hold back, and how, you know, how to figure out how to keep a bit of that mystery with Chani?
Well, I think it was, I mean, that was the way you know, it's written, you know, Chani is kind of, again, she's this, only really presented through his visions, which I think is interesting also because, you know, I think the Fremen people have been painted to be, historically, you know, these, you know, angry, savage people, which we know is not true. But I think being able to see her and not know if she's good or bad or what her meaning in Paul's life is, I think adds to kind of the anxiety when we first they first meet in person. It's like, are they supposed to fall in love? Is she going to kill him? Like, what's going to happen here? And I think that tension is always, you know, really interesting for her. But, you know, listen, I remember the first day kind of getting there, and I was stepping onto a set that had already been, you know, that created their family, and there was already like life happening, and everybody was so welcoming to me because I just kind of touched down, and I was only going to be there for a limited amount of time. And I was so nervous because I was like, oh my gosh, okay. Like I have to fit into this world, and I have to, you know, all these, you know, incredible actors who I admire. And I'm like, you know, I was very stressed. But again, I remember one of the first things that he said, I wish we had more time, but here we are, you know what I mean? And he guided me through the process so easily, and everybody was so welcoming, right? And being able to watch everyone, I think, you know, Javier, for example, you know, him kind of being a Fremen leader, he was that in many ways off camera as well. I think watching him move and watching him exist within the space when we were in Jordan in this like incredible rock formation, and I that was really helpful, kind of watching him move and him work, and then echoing that and finding my own thing within his thing. And it just it ended up feeling like it was coming alive on its own, because I felt like I had landed in Arrakis, you know, like I met everyone in their costumes, so it's like I never even got to.
You're quite lovable.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's not difficult to want you around.
Well, I appreciate that. You guys were lovely and very generous with the space, which made me feel, you know, like Chani. You know, I was able to find her much quicker, which I was worried about. But yeah, and I'm excited, obviously, to explore I mean, there's so much story left to tell. You know, it really is just the beginning. I don't know, it's fascinating to me because there's just like, I only got to like have a little taste. So I'm just like chomping at the bits. I'm like, I'm so ready to go back because there's so much to do. I'm like, let me fight. I'm ready, you know? Yeah, so.
Did you not get the rewrite?
Well, this is awkward.
Denis, what are you looking forward to most about diving into with Chani? And feel free to divulge the secrets of the script and that rewrite as well.
Oh no, I'm always very careful to talk about projects that are in the making. It's like sacred for me. It's a sacred space. But I would say definitely that the thing that it's really given me a lot of energy and a lot of creative joy is to think to work again with all of them. I mean, seriously, and it's strange because just minutes before I was doing this call with you guys. They are in my mind all the time. I live with them. I mean, we are working on the movie right now, and it's like no. And as Zendaya rightly said, it's we just saw a glimpse of her character, and mostly we saw her character through the fantasy of Paul Atreides. I mean, we barely met the real Shani, and it is very exciting for me to bring her to the screen and fully, how can I say that, embracing her journey. Yeah, it's like it's very exciting.
Well, I know I asked this to Denis, but I wanted to ask this to the rest of you all as well. What was the scene that when you did get a chance to see how this epic all came together that really made you go, wow, we really did that. That's incredibly impressive. Uh, Zendaya, I'll ask you first.
Oh man, this whole thing I think has been like a still a bit of a dream, you know. I think watching it, I watched it so many times, and just watched it a bunch of times. Like I'm
How many
I'm
times?
I'm a fan. Okay.
No, but that I would say it really moves me, because sometimes we were going in festivals or thing and say, where are Zendaya and Timothy, and they were watching the movie again, and that deeply touched me. I was like, I love them. They are so
Yeah, we
trooper.
enjoy it so much, you know? And I think that like there were so many moments, especially I think when I first got to Venice, which was my first Venice Film Festival. What an amazing way to go, by the way. And I got to meet the rest of the cast that I didn't even get to meet. So I was just like in awe, you know. Everybody was so lovely, and getting to hear them, you know, in many ways doing these panels, I got to hear them speak about their characters who I had obviously read about and imagined, and then finally got to see, was, you know, so insightful. So, I mean, the whole thing has been like, you know, mind blowing from the beginning, but I enjoy it every time. And every time I watch it, like I get excited. And when those drums hit in the beginning, it's like, da, 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 I'm like, oh, it's so exciting, you know? So, yeah, I'm a fan, of this movie and these movies, you know?
And I know you also, as a fan, did a lot of work to make sure like the vocabulary was all like this is not just you coming into your character work. You have to make sure the vocabulary is right, that the costuming is accurate. You know, what of those challenges was maybe the most challenging to accomplish as you were going through your process, Zendaya?
Oh man. I think anybody who reads the books, I think that was like the first thing that was very difficult when you first kind of open it up, is understanding all the lexicon that goes along with it, because some of them obviously some of them are made up words, some of them are words that are mixtures of, you know. So that was very difficult to I had my own pronunciations in my head versus maybe when I got to work and was like, oh, that's how you say that. Great. But yeah, no, I think it's such an immersive world, and I think something that's so special, I think watching it again, like I said, as a fan, was Denis' extraordinary ability to create the world and get lost in the world, and just like you feel like you are there, and things don't feel like they're being explained to you so much as you're just experiencing them as they happen. And building a world is really, really difficult, especially if, you know, if you're someone who's never read the books, you know. And I thought it was really special because I've had so many people come up to me who have read the books since, because they watched the film. And I think that that's a really special thing. You know, that's opening an entire new, you know, group of people to a fan base and to an adventure and to an experience that otherwise they never would have had. So I feel lucky to kind of be a part of sharing that gift with other people. But yeah, it's not an easy world to step into, you know, but who better to do it?
Absolutely. Stellan, what has been your kind of grand takeaway from this experience?
I was expecting it to be fantastic, and I didn't get disappointed. and of course, Patrice Vermette's sets I mean, I've seen them work together before in films, and you knew it was going to be fantastic. Of course, it was even more so here. It was a world but the wonderful thing is that it was a world that didn't look like a sci-fi world. It looked like a film sci-fi world. It was a world that looked like a real world, just different, and with a culture or cultures that were different but real. And I think that's a big thing about it. like all I mean, it's you can say that it's kind of a renaissance, morally it's a renaissance world, you know, where it's, which is like unregulated capitalism. You kill anybody you want, and as long as you get the money. But it's it really felt palpable, everything. But of course, it wouldn't have if the characters weren't fully alive within it. And there Denis shows that he's not only the sort of the spectacular filmmaker, but he's the sort of this with Fingerspitzgefühl, he's working with the psychology of the characters, and he's so interested in what happens between them, and that's what interests me too. Mostly is not the solos, it's what happened between the people.
Of course, we are so looking forward to what happens between this group of characters, or these group of actors that are here on this call. And now I really do have to find out more about this Swedish cut. But Rebecca, I will end with you. That kind of grand takeaway, that either wow moment from seeing the film, or from, you know, this experience of having made it.
I missed literally the last second there. Say that again.
Sure. If that wow moment of having seen the film, or this experience of making it.
I feel like I want to talk about Greg Fraser as well. Patrice, I mean, I agreed with Stellan when he said I expected it to be amazing or grandiose, and it hit every single frequency of that and more. But it's an all-encompassing spectacle event, you know. There's a reason why we can't wait to dive into the second one, you know. There's a reason why, even though we are shooting and we're working, and you know, I'm up at 5 a.m. every morning, but I want to talk about this film. I want to be a part of this panel. I want to promote this film. I don't want to promote every fucking film I do. No, I want to talk about this one because I love it. And because I love the people, and I love the cast, and I love every single person involved, from Bob to Jacqueline to costume to music to the sound effects to the ornithopters. You know, it's just like, how about the hats of the man who waters the palm trees? I mean, what a feast, you know? It's groundbreaking. It's incredible. It's explosive.
Denis, I can just see you just smiling from ear
Yeah,
to
they are
ear.
very, very, very generous. Thank you, my friends. But yeah, it was a.
Was that what I was going to say? I was trying.
Yes, you stay on script. That's okay.
Yeah? Getting stressed.
Well, thank you all, just for really sharing that little taste of this feast, because as you said, Rebecca, this is a film that is so layered, so complex, that if we dove into every single little detail, we could do this for hours and days. But that is on the fans to continue looking at more interviews and reading more about this brilliant piece of work. And Denis, we will all be anxiously awaiting that beginning of part 2. So thank you all so much for joining us today. And be sure to tell all of your friends, if they have not watched Dune yet, really just show it to them. You go together. Watch it as a group. It's more fun that way. You don't want to watch this one alone. You want to have somebody to talk about it with. And thank you all for talking about it with me.
Thank you, madam. Thank you. It was lovely. Thank you, my friends, for your generosity. Take care.
Miss you all.